Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. We are back. The original crew is here. It is the 39th episode of
39. I went and checked.
Episode of TNAIW, and we are live.
39. I went and checked.
Episode of TNAIW, and we are. Turn that off.
That was me.
Come on, Craig.
It's down.
Jesus. It begins. Well, thank you guys for coming.
Craig's acting like it's his first
they are
episode.
well, speaking of that, they are the Tucker and Wesley Blake to my Samoa Joe. It's Craig and Max, everyone.
Hey man, I'll take that Wesley Blake.
Yeah,
Sure you
would.
He was part of the second greatest tag team of all time. Just slightly behind the Johnsons, Blake and Murphy.
Craig, you can entertain this if you like, if you have any clue what he's talking about, but
Okay, so
Kind of, yeah.
go back,
Blake and Murphy
watch
are pretty
NXT with Blake and Murphy. Those guys were geniuses. They were basically the Rockers of 2020. And just like with the Rockers, Buddy Murphy split off and became the HBK of the 2020
do we have mute button
Okay.
installed yet?
generation? Something like that. But
Anyways, so obviously we have a lot of talk about when it comes to free agency, and we'll have our second half of the show will actually be your calls if you're with us, and and if you're not with us right here live, you'll be watching this on YouTube, and if you'd like to participate, make sure you come here every Saturday night, twitch.tv/TNAIW channel. We are live always, one form of this group over another. But yeah, so the second half of the show, we'll be taking calls live and talking about the free agent frenzy is we'll put a positive spin on the unfortunate spring cleaning that is WWE Black Wednesday. But before that, we have a lot to talk about. Of course, I'll kick it to Craig and let him do his run, since we have a lot going on here, or he'll make some stuff up. And then we'll get to some really, really, really hot topics. Craig?
So, yes, it's me, it's MIB, and once again, we're back and we're live here on Twitch every Saturday. This episode will be available on YouTube tomorrow and available on Sounder. You can find us here, you can find us there, you can find us down there everywhere. Facebook to Twitter, YouTube to Sounder. We recently filmed the game show.
Yep.
That will be available soon. Just keep an eye on that, where it will be available. This Monday will be State of Impact. I'll be back giving you a rundown of what is going on in the world of Impact Wrestling and all the nonsense we have for you here. And once again, you're pretty much caught up. You can follow us. You know where we are. You can literally just search our names and you'll see. All our information on the screen. Follow us on Twitter. Do whatever you want. Do we have an advert?
No, we don't. But thanks, Craig. Always ready, Craig. Mr. Impact Blog. So we have a lot going on. The one thing that he was touching on there that I can give you a little bit of update, the Hard 10 game show, which had Lucha Doncic on. Lucha Doncic. I was saying that a lot last night. Knicks played the Mavericks. So he was the contestant, and he won some good prizes, so it'll be fun to see what's up going on, Cody. Ooh, Pikachu. But we have some cool stuff going on, and speaking of that, we're going to hit up the chat room real quick, see if we can get more people to come in here, make it fun, have a great show, and kick it to this commercial with our first edition 3 t-shirts. Be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast.
All right, we're back. And get it started. We'll kick it to Craig. Then we're our 3 t-shirts. They'll be limited edition, and then we'll be rolling out another 3 designs, and continue that pattern. Thank you to the TNAIW fam for helping us get that going. And if you're part of our chat group, there will be some specials, especially with the signature chat group Aces and Eights throwback. All right, Craig, I sent them to you so they're nice and big and you can see them.
Yes, I can see them. Yes. So let's kick it with topic number 1. How huge is it for Impact Wrestling to have Mauro Ranallo working with them for the short term? Jeff,
if it's okay, actually, I'm gonna Max. If you want to go with this first, I know you have things on this.
So, as a commentator, I love Mauro. I loved him when he was in Pride. I loved him on NXT. I think he's great. But I don't actually, give a crap when it comes to Impact. I like the guys they have on there now. I guess he adds a layer of professionalism maybe for people outside may look at him and be like, okay, he's a big name. But at the same time, I feel like Impact's also at the point now where no matter what they do, if you're going to shit on them, you're going to shit on no matter what they do. They could literally sign Roman Reigns and people would be like, he's over the hill. He's right. It doesn't matter at this point. So, I mean, it may lead to other things and you may bring that up. But to me, having him here, I don't know if it necessarily is a huge deal for them because I just don't know what it's going to bring that they don't already have. Because if he was replacing Josh Matthews, this would be great. But I like who they have now on commentary. So I don't necessarily think unless you're going to add a third, and I don't know how he would fit in as that third with the dynamic they have. So I like the guy, but I just don't know a needle mover or like a massive impact.
Pun intended.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I just
see.
Don't know.
I think we flip flop because as a commentator, I'm not, and self-admittedly, I'm to be transparent. That's the key to the show, where we tell you our honest feelings, bias or not. It's the truth. So for better or worse, I will say, I've never been a fan of his commentating style. I make fun of it, whatever. Good dude, good message. And I'll get to the other stuff in just a second, but his commentating itself isn't my cup of tea. Now, as Bert said, hey, what's going on, Bert? And Cody seems to be saying it there as well. This is supposedly a short-term deal. Him and Scott known each other for over 20 years, obviously both growing up in the Canada scene, and Mauro being a huge fan. So I think it could definitely grow into more. But what I see this as is just as like they're saying, I think it's to make it a big fight feel. And will it make it a big fight feel to us to have a Mauro Ranallo who's worldwide respected, no matter if you are a Impact hater or fan? It does help in that regard. Anything we can do to blur that line so people will then cross it, it's important for Impact to win those people over. Because not only is Impact fighting for the casual fan that clicks and clicks and clicks by trying to find a better station, better whatever, get more eyes on it, they're still fighting for the everyday wrestling fan who still is, for lack of better terms, a shithead online. So I think it helps smooth that out a little bit. And then the most important thing for me with him is what this could lead to, as you insinuated there. I think he represents something that is bigger for me than just a commentator on one match and multiple little really cool 5 Ways to Win, I think it was that it came out with Kenny Omega and Rich Swann, 2 different videos that he's narrating. They're milking this for all it's worth, and they should, because this is a big get in the eyes of other people, maybe not Impact itself. Now, I know the chat group was excited and they were excited, so maybe a lot of Impact fans are excited as well, but I think it's more of an outside perspective thing, not only from the fan base, but also corporate, and the ability where he transcends wrestling. I mean, he still does Strikeforce, I believe. He is...
he doesn't do Strikeforce.
Well, I mean, he did Strikeforce and then he was Pride, right? Or Pride, then Strikeforce.
He was Pride initially. I think he did Strikeforce.
I know he has Showtime on boxing. Oh, Bellator. His Bellator's cool.
Is that what it is?
It's
I wasn't
Bellator
sure if it did Bellator.
and
It's on Showtime, now.
Boxing, which is a thing. My apologies to anyone I offended in the chat group. Not knowing boxing was still a big get. But he does.
He does Glory Kickboxing and Invicta Fighting Championships.
Still. Oh, okay. I thought he was doing Bellator as well. RIP Strikeforce. Yeah, my bad. But yeah, so he represents things outside there, connections, bridges to outside things, which is what Impact needs in their back pocket right now. So he helps with that, and I think he also helps play to the point that we already say, which is Impact is the company that brings in people that they want to help as individuals as well. Now, does Mauro need Impact? Probably not. Maybe, I don't know his financial situation, but when it comes to mental health, no, he seems to be in a great place and whatever. But seeing how we're taking, or allegedly taking, care of Kylie Ray, and how we're patient and giving her everything she needs to hopefully come back or at least have a great life. This just speaks volumes to me that Impact is that brand that wants to care about the wrestler, the individual. Impact always finds a way, and I know we'll get onto this at Free Agent Frenzy, but Impact always finds a way to stay relevant. If it's create an X division, because WWE doesn't allow that, they do it. If they do, hey, let's boost the Knockouts division. Let's do that. No one else is doing it. And of course, they follow trend, and it makes it harder for us to acquire those people. We did intergender for better or worse. Other people started. So we're always the trend center, and then it becomes the norm. And I think we're not jumping the gun. We're just ahead of the wrestling business when it comes to understanding that there's more to life than wrestling and handshakes and respect and whatever else wrestling is. And that's nice, because right now, and we could talk about sports, we could talk about any business. The power is going back to the individual, the people, the athlete. And if you are the company that is giving help to those who might need help in other ways than just finance, it's a good place to be. It's a nice niche, and I hate to say it like that, but it's a nice niche to have, that we are a company of the people.
No, I definitely agree with that. I do agree, though. It does, and I didn't think about it until you mentioned it. It does show, like, outside investors or people who want to be sponsors and stuff. Hey, this is a name that they may know outside of Impact. They may know who he is, and they may be like, oh, you're working with these people for this. Okay, maybe it's worth putting some money. And so it definitely could bring in some outside of not people that have nothing to do with wrestling. Sponsors could know who he is and say, hey, we'll run this and we'll do that. So I think that is definitely a possibility that it could open up some bridges outside of just wrestling fans, to bring in more money for them, which anytime you get more money, whether they're $1 billion business or not, still beneficial.
Craig, I want to hear your points on this, because I know we kind of slightly mentioned what this could lead to or Isaac could bring on us, but what's your opinion on this?
When I saw Mauro Ranallo is going to be involved, let alone be on commentary, I popped. Mauro Ranallo is one of my favourite commentators. I love to work on it. He's got that gravitas in his voice that makes you excited, like Matt Striker, but on a bigger level. Striker can get you excited, but Mauro really hypes it up. He's got an incredible voice, and he commentates on some of the biggest fights in the world. I believe he commentated on McGregor and Mayweather, or was involved in that somehow. It's huge for Impact. He's great at what he does, and the fact he's involved in a wrestling show again, when no one thought he'd be involved in wrestling again after what happened in WWE. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I like to look at it as well, and even if that's my perspective coming from someone who's not a big fan of his work, and I hope to grow as a fan of his work. Maybe it was a brand thing, maybe it was a how he was supposed to talk thing, as far as what WWE is trying to make him do, and obviously it didn't work for him because he didn't fit in that box, and that to me is a good thing. And I think a lot of the people on Impact's roster don't fit in the box of the norm, especially WWE. So I think it's a nice little niche to have. Like I said, I think if other people think it's a big deal, that's what matters. And I think we're headed in that direction. All I see is positive feedback, but definitely big fight feel, which is needed for this. All right, number 2.
Yeah. Okay, number 2. So, apologies if I say this wrong. Invicta Fighting was purchased by Anthem. Thoughts and what it could mean for Impact, Matt?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I
Or
switched over
Jeff,
there.
sorry.
Yeah. So, once again, admittedly, I'm not too big into the MMA scene. It's not that I enjoy it if it's on. If it's a big fight, I enjoy a pay-per-view. But with this, I did a little bit of research just so I was at least had the basics of this. So this is where I got confused with Strikeforce. I was reading my wrong freaking notes. So they had been purchased by Strikeforce originally, and then I think part of UFC or something of that nature, where UFC wasn't pushing women, so then they ended up making their own deal when Strikeforce got bought. Is that essentially, Max? Is that?
I don't know kind of where they came from. I know they're the largest
Women's, yeah.
women's MMA promotion. I want to say for a while they had some weight classes that maybe the UFC didn't, because UFC just didn't feel that they were profitable. But it's still now, I would probably say, next to the UFC. I mean, other organizations have women's fighting, but I really think they're that second tier, like right below
wow.
the UFC. Okay. Because I mean, they have a lot of really good fighters. They had Chris Cyborg
Carano
prior to her coming over. I don't know. No, Gina Carano was in.
I thought her versus Cyborg fought each other. Right?
Not Strike. No, not Strikeforce. She was in. What was it?
But
yeah, but there was. I mean, they have a pretty big like weight class. They have one.
Okay.
They have 5 weight classes for women's, which is something that a lot of times UFC didn't have for a while. So Chris Cyborg got a lot of really good women MMA fighters that UFC will pull
in a
from.
decent history. Okay.
Correct.
So with the good thing about this, and that's what I'll take from this, because once again, self-admittedly, I don't know. They fought in Strikeforce. Okay. I don't know too much about it. I couldn't tell you the roster. I couldn't tell you that, but knowing that, it helps me kind of change the narrative a little bit of how I was feeling. Because in passing, this doesn't seem like much, but when you look into it and then you see obviously the popularity of it, I don't think it does anything but help the situation of something that I think we'll talk about later, which is TV deal or platform in which Impact will be on next, or AXSTV will be on next. So I think this just adds to the portfolio that they're building. That crossover does not hurt at all. I don't know what their attendances are, obviously pre-COVID. I don't know their ratings or their buy rates, but having another brand to cross promote with, it doesn't hurt. And if anything, I think this leads to something. What it can mean for Impact is something that, I'll jump the gun on here. I think it gets to proving the point that we always have of be patient. Because AXSTV is picking up more and more content for their fans to like. And at some point, once it's Impact fans, because Impact fans can't do it alone. You have Impact fans, you have Invicta fans, you have all these different things that they are buying. And whoever says we don't have money, still does that stupid rhetoric or narrative, you're an idiot. We just bought Invicta. Before that, we bought AXSTV. Anthem is good, okay? And Anthem knows what they're doing. But just like a good business, I guess I would say corporation, you look at everything as numbers. And is spending X amount of money, and this I know I'm going in full circle, but this really matters. Spending X amount of money on what we perceive as a big star, or keeping Taya, or whatever your complaint was, keeping the Rascals, is that moving the needle enough for the numbers and the platform of Impact to grow, or do you save your money to buy other things that help bring up Impact? And I think that's the route they went.
It's like sabermetrics with baseball, to where you look at a guy and you're like, okay, what helps me win? What numbers actually help me win? And then we get guys that do that. You don't have to spend money. It's the same thing with that. Is this person a star? Yes. But does this star actually move numbers, or can we take theirs and get two people?
We'll talk about that. I don't want to get too far off.
Overall, have a
that's my fault. Circling back, do you think this is one of those things where this is where we get a bigger return compared to just re-signing someone? And that's what I was getting.
Yeah, so I think with me with the whole Invicta thing, it's interesting because I do definitely think it's Access building their portfolio, but I'm not sure. So obviously, if you watch AEW, right after AEW this week, they have one Fighting Championships, which is MMA, follows it. I think some other type of combat sport, boxing, kickboxing, whatever, on either before or after your wrestling program is an easy way for one to pick up people who are watching Impact to also be like, oh, what's this? It's people beating each other up. Oh, yeah, I'll watch that.
Mhm.
It's also for the fans of that sport who may tune in early. They catch the last 5 minutes and they're like, oh, that was pretty good. Let me tune in next week and watch this show before. So I don't know if it's just that a matter of, hey, let's just grab a program that we can put at the back end of Impact or before it and possibly just help overall ratings, or if it's something to the effect of they're trying to build their portfolio. They say, hey, we have Impact, we have Invicta. I don't know if they have the deal with New Japan for US, but if they do, they're like, hey, we've got this, we've got that. Then when a big streaming service comes and says, hey, we're looking to partner with you guys, Anthem can say, hey, this is our catalog of shows. Look at all that we have to offer to join with, as opposed to just saying, oh, we've got two things. Like, well, we don't care about. So I think that could be the longer run, because I do think, because part of me when I first heard it, I thought, I wonder if they're getting ready to try and move into more homes, basically get on get into a more normal cable package where more people can get them. But I was like, I don't know if that even makes them money. If you're on like a normal cable channel like USA or TNT, does that even matter?
Right.
Because people are cutting cable left and right. So if you can get in with a streaming service, I almost think that would be is what they're doing, is they're trying to build their portfolio so that when a big name streaming service comes to them, they're like, hey, this is what we have to offer and why you should partner with us.
Sorry about shrinking Craig,
So,
by the way.
I don't know.
Craig, you're changing sizes, my brother.
What can you do?
It's that British internet. It's in and out. He really is changing. Like, he just keeps getting smaller and smaller too. It's
we
funny.
love you, Craig. You're big in our hearts, man. But no, I agree with you there, and we'll keep moving on because to stay with time here. I do want to
Critical Stink mentioned that's how we came across TNA, is that last 5 minutes thing. So that's definitely
and this is credit to Mike G, who I'll give a shout out to, who helped us last week at Combat Republic. Think of writes for Fight Media as well. Go check him out at Combat Republic. Great dude, and we hope to have him on more. But to his credit, and he mentioned this, I don't know if it was the chat or our chat group prior, about the big play for Impact. Because I always say that, froze, there we go. I always say that the big play for Impact, unfortunately, is not going to be television right now. Like, as far as cable networks, no one would touch us with a 10-foot pole, let alone a 20 or 30. You know what I mean? So it was a hard battle for us to get where we are now. And Mike always mentioned the big play being AXSTV app, not Impact app, but AXSTV app or AXSTV portfolio, and then that being bought by a bigger streaming service. And Craig, you mentioned this off air, but who was it? Paramount
Plus, the one that has CBS.
Yeah, CBS, Viacom, and Paramount Plus. So, which is great. And obviously we use that, Max, and Paramount Plus.
I do, yeah.
It has some cool stuff and old Nickelodeon shit, so that's always got me hooked if you're a 90s kid especially. And then there's some older head stuff too, I think like Full History of Brady Bunch and a bunch of things. But anyways, we're not plugging them. We'll get to number 3, but Craig, I want to hear your point on this. And I know you're obviously not too self-familiar of Invicta, but is that the play you think we're heading towards here?
Possibly. Like you said, I don't know anything about this. Full disclosure, I know nothing. Until I saw it on my phone, on the topics, I had no idea it was even happening.
Okay.
But if if that's the way it's heading, it's great for everyone involved.
I see Cody saying that the Paramount Plus noise is BS. It's not because it was because it's not has anything to do with a wrestling dirt sheet. I think it was put out by the interest was hinted at by someone not on the sheets, if I remember correctly, and that's how this will happen because those executives, unless Impact themselves or Anthem themselves spoil it, which I don't think would be the case.
Yeah, none of those
Yeah.
guys have the connections to those.
You Googled it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it may not be. I mean, you never know. It's more of just a wonder. Like, would they? And they probably wouldn't be talking about picking up Impact. They'd be talking
correct.
about
AXSTV,
merging
yeah.
with Access TV. Or it's never know. It may be BS, but it's definitely. I think that's where they're going. I think they're trying to get in with a streaming app.
Yeah.
Either Paramount, Hulu would probably be the two that I would say would be the most
but
likely.
Still big, yeah.
Yeah, like you're not going to get on Peacock because that's WWE. Netflix.
They had Lucha.
I just don't think that. Yeah, but then when they put that stuff up, they put everything up all at once, and they don't release things like that. So you're not going to see that. So it would really be either Hulu or, I mean, maybe Amazon Prime. But that's really.
But it's definitely a patient thing, and by no means of saying that we would be on the Paramount Plus is a bad thing. It's 1,000% a good thing. So let's wish it into existence. Let's be patient. Oh, it's a personal vendetta. Come on, Cody. He might have, and he doesn't have. Maybe he doesn't have personal knowledge. I don't know. That's not where I heard it from. So maybe it's just coincidence. But either way, any noise about us going somewhere that's popular, especially on Twitter and being talked about, could maybe lead to better things as well. Number 3, Craig.
Yeah.
And plus the AXS TV rumors were just rumors at one point.
Right, and now here we are.
We're interested, but we bought them. So number 3.
I'll be right back, guys. I apologize. Max, you start.
Fairly short-ish one.
Okay.
What was that, Craig? How much of an impact did Nevaeh make during her short run with Impact?
So, I mean, I think, looking through it, originally I was like, she really didn't make much of an impact, but obviously she was one of the people that, I don't want to say help launch, but I mean, kind of a major key in the Knockouts tag team division. Obviously, they used her and Havoc pretty regularly for the women's tag match. I mean, I think Fire and Flava, them. I mean, Craig, were those your two like major established tag teams that kind of came in? Everybody else was just kind of thrown together, right? Jordan Grace and Jazz were just kind of thrown together.
Even Fire and Flava were put together.
But I mean, they had been together, like before they officially even announced it. They had kind of been working together. But I think her and Havoc. I almost said Nevaeh and Heaven for some reason. Like they're like that's their name backwards. But yeah, I think her and Havoc. I mean, they were definitely a big part of launching that bout. And they although they didn't win, they never won it. They put up a lot of good matches. They kind of helped bridge that. I mean, I wish she was still there because I know G had mentioned a while ago that she was going to be breaking up with Havoc, but I wish they could have both stayed together because I think they were a good tag team, and that's what you need. You need solid, established tag teams to help continue to build the division. But she was definitely a launching point. I do wish that she would have stayed because I wanted to see what happened. G had her flipping her name around and joining with Deonna. I wish we could have seen something like that happen. I think that would have been a really cool move. But I do think that although she was with him for a short time, I do think she kind of helped get that Knockouts tag team division off the ground. So I think you got to give her credit for that.
Yeah. So I'm sorry if I obviously repeat here, and sorry about the movement there. I'm trying to get my Wi-Fi a little bit better, but hopefully you can hear our voices at least, especially for you guys listening on Sounder. So yeah, depth is one of the big things here, and I know we're talking about her individual, I guess, impact on the company during her run. Yeah, as
Yeah.
far as impact, let's hit that first. As far as impact that she's made, she was part of history. She was part of bringing those titles back, and good to her. I think she could have done a lot more. But I'm not crying that she's gone, and that has nothing to do with her individual talent. It just happens to be the level she was. It wasn't like she was with us for 6-7 years, or she was a former Knockouts champion.
Yeah.
That takes nothing away from her. But obviously there's room for improvement in some ways, and I think her character, she has a great look, great personality. It seems to like be a cool person. So there's opportunity for her to do more, and that she probably could have done a lot more. But once again, we don't know the outside stuff. Maybe she was already headed out. Maybe it was a short time thing. And that's what I said about Kimberly and her. I really felt from day one it was a tryout kind of thing. That, hey, we're short on people. COVID is hitting hard. We need travel restrictions, or we have travel restrictions. Who can we bring in that is already coming? Well, Wentz is already here, so let's bring in Kimber. Hey, the Chris is already here. Let's bring in Nevaeh. So I think it was more of a matter of convenience, and once again, not taking the talent away from them, or their credit, away from their talent. So with that being said, I got an argument on this in the chat group, because someone said I was trying to continue my narrative that her loss isn't a big one. That's not a narrative. That's that's the truth to me. Am I taking away from my like of her, or the potential that I thought she had? No. But at the same time, I don't see this on a level to where we need to be, worried about losing people. It looks like it was from Impact's point of view, from their standpoint of the release, or maybe it was just it ran up. We have nothing more for you. We think Havoc is better suited elsewhere. And we can't speak to that because we don't know. Now, does it suck that we're losing yet another person as far as in a division that we think needs a lot of help? Yes. But I see us gaining so many people coming up, especially after this, what we'll talk about at the end here, that unfortunately, I think her loss won't be a big impact on the company. Now, I hope that her and Jake can pick up somewhere else, and maybe that's part of this thing. Maybe her and Jake have a deal somewhere else together, and they could do something great. So I wish the best for her. That's nothing against her. She'll be in the history books, and maybe one day we'll see her again as the Killer Death Machines ride again. But I think we have some new tag teams coming in or being put together. So patience. And I think it's about to pay off. Craig?
Yeah, I mean, I agree in the sense that it's not a major loss. It's a loss in terms of members of the roster in the Knockouts division, especially. But I think we got to see enough of her to consider it a big loss.
Consider a big loss?
We didn't see enough of her to consider it a loss.
To consider it a big loss. So, I mean, I agree it's not a huge loss. It's a depth loss. But I do think she made an impact with the whole Knockouts thing while she was here.
Hey, what's up, Keem?
It's almost like a similar thing like when someone who's been around, like with Jazz retiring. Jazz had a massive impact. Is it a loss? Well, she's near the end of her career, so it's kind
situational.
It's kind of that situation where it's not a major loss, but she had an impact while she was here because of some of the stuff she was involved in.
Had she made as much of an impression as Kimber had, and once again, that's not a takeaway from Nevaeh. It's just a praise of how well Kimber has done in her small showings. And a lot of them were tag team too, so I don't want to hear that it was because it was single and tag team. They both had the same I think opportunity, and obviously we saw who came through. Number 4.
Number 4, and we have how big of an event is Rebellion, and is the card enough to keep new eyes?
Who's that, Max or me?
It was you. Unless you want me to start it, it's up to you.
No, I'm fine with that. So
Okay.
it's a big event. I don't want to overstate it or hype it up too much, but I think it's a huge event. For many different reasons. One, obviously, we mentioned Mauro. We also mentioned that there will be more eyes on Impact in this event than we've probably had in a very long time. And that's not just saying because AEW's there and whatever. It's a culmination of things and hard work, not only from the group or the roster, but also the individuals who run Impact, Anthem, vice presidents, whatever you want to call them. Because there's like I said, a culmination of different reasons that people are going to tune into us for the first time or the first time in a long time. But yeah, I agree there. So is referring to the card now. I think that's situational. I think it depends on your point of view or who you like or what appeals to you. But are we putting our best foot forward? I mean, as you can see there, we have Rich versus Kenny Omega. Tony Khan will be in the building, which means probably Jerry Lynn as well. Don Callis will be there. You have that in the main event. It's unifying our title and theirs, which is insane to say out loud. I think it's the first time it's ever been. Well,
not unifying. It's
unifying under one champion.
it's a title for title. Okay, cool.
No,
they're not
no.
combining.
They're not going to come up with the IWGP World Championship design. I hope. Yeah. So that's obviously big because it'll bring the AEW fans, even if they're rolling their eyes. I think it brings in the TV execs because we have other things going on, Mauro included. So I just think it's a great culmination. Now, as far as the match itself, like I said, Rich Swann, Kenny Omega, you got Sammy and Trey, which has been a great build-up so far. Tenille versus Diana. What else do we have that's in the Phoebe? Diana
Perozo, right?
BBD versus Eddie and Company, I believe, right? Eddie and Company, Eddie, James Storm, Chris Sabin,
James Storm,
and
who's this person?
You've got Trey
that,
and Sammy.
There's got to be a fourth person.
If you don't mind, so we're not just talking certain series.
I think you got Storm, Sabin,
Mac,
and Eddie.
Yeah, so
Mac, that's who it is.
And obviously we won't go match by match of what we believe in them, but I so far so good. The Tenille thing, where it needs to build up, but I don't see it just being a simple, X Division triple threat. Good Lord, yeah. So this is going to be a banger of a pay-per-view. I will say though, it's important for the eyes that will be watching, that are new. It's important for the fans that have been kind of on the fringe and upset with Impact for stalling. But I think not only will we see a tidbit of why they stalled, I think we'll have our first, and Jordan's mystery partner, we'll have our first 5-star match, or second 5-star match, but first one in a very long time. The formula's there. Meltzer's talking about it, actually saying nice things that Swann and Omega is the first or the biggest build, or best done build for a heavyweight title match in a very long time. And I will agree with that in the sense that press conference is something you do when you're trying to make it big. Mauro coming in is something you do when you're trying to make it big. So they're doing all the right things to make this a big deal, but it's not going to be as big, no matter what, the Slammiversary this year. And that is the one great thing about this. If Hard to Kill for some reason falls on its ass, we have a short turnaround for Slammiversary to knock it out of the park.
You mean if Rebellion falls on its ass?
Yeah, what I say.
Hard to Kill.
I'm actually.
So I'm letting you know, I don't care if the only 2 matches on this card were Rich Swann and Kenny Omega and a 60-minute Iron Man match between Crimson and Jesse Neal. This shit is fucking massive. The Rich Swann Kenny Omega match alone make this probably. I mean, I think it's got to be outside of like something like WrestleMania, which just has the history. This matchup alone is massive. Like it's got to be one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year for any company just because of what it is. It's the first time, like this isn't a situation where like WWE and it's champion versus champion. No, they're the same fucking company. Who cares?
Right.
This is a real two separate companies putting their titles on the line. You mentioned the I want to say pay-per-view, the what's it called? Hold on, my brain stopped working. I'm stupid. Press conference. You mentioned the press conference. That was done so well because you had Tony Khan, and Tony Khan didn't come into that press conference like he has in all his commercials where he's talking down about Impact. He mentioned the fact that whoever wins, whether it's Rich Swann or Kenny, they've both agreed that they're going to be on both shows. Rich Swann has made sure that has guaranteed that he'll show up on AEW and meet all the obligations of an AEW champion. And Kenny, if he wins, he'll meet all the obligations of the Impact champion. So this isn't a situation where, they're talking where AEW is talking down to Impact. They're representing the Impact as though it is just as big as AEW, and whoever wins this really is like a massive star because of what they've accomplished. So this matchup alone, and I agree, I think it's going to be a 5-star match. Granted, when it comes to Meltzer and Kenny Omega could wrestle you, and Meltzer would at least give it 4.5 stars.
And that's fine.
Just because
once again, I don't give a shit about what he thinks,
but
we'll take it.
I agree. But I'm just saying, I think outside of his bias, I think people are going to look at this and be like, "Holy shit, that was an amazing match!" Because Kenny can go, Rich can go. It's a chance for these guys for them both to know this is a showcase of you. We're putting it all on you. Like this is one of the times where, obviously, WWE talks about grabbing the brass ring and running with it. Impact is saying, hey, both these guys are massive stars. We're going to treat them like they're massive stars. And AEW is doing the same thing. So I think it's got massive potential. I think it's going to live up to the potential, to the hype, because although I said it could have been Crimson and Jesse Neal, the rest of the card is actually really good. Obviously, I really hope they open with the triple threat X Division match, just because I love when they open with X Division matches, because those guys go so hard, they get people excited.
No, I mean, everything you said is correct there, and I agree with you that as far as my feelings in regards to what this could do for us. Now, will it happen as seamlessly? Who knows? And that's the point I want to bring. But if shit hits the fan, we have a backup. And there's a lot of stuff that will go on between Rebellion and Slammiversary that will change the perspective of all of you that have been on the fridge. Do I know specifics? I know a couple things. We're making some friends here and there. But this is going to be big. And the match itself, even if it ends clean, no advancement in storyline. We just have a guy, confetti falls, like RVD just fucking didn't hook the leg of AJ Styles and he took the belt. That's the kind of moment it could be. And we should still be happy. Because we will 100%, unless I'm mistaken, nothing is on Sunday, April 25th. We will trend number 1. And it is our job, our responsibility as true Impact fans, love them or hate them all the time, to get on Twitter and hashtag the hell out of this. Get it trending, get it out there, take advantage of this moment, because for better or worse, the people who watch this, AEW or not, will either shit on it or respect it on Twitter. And it does not matter if it's either or, as long as that hashtag is there, that we get number 1. So I think it's a big deal.
Now, one, I don't think it'll be like the RVD thing, because I think Kenny respects wrestling in general too much to do something like that. But I do hope that when they win, whoever wins, all they do is shoot off shitty sparklers in the corners and be like, oh, that's our Impact budget. That's all. Just like the death match. I just hope they shoot off shitty sparklers, just because I think that would still be funny to continue the really whole like Impact doesn't know how to.
That's one of the things I will say that I'm very disappointed on is his entrance music and logo literally looks like they just recycled Tess's old crap, and just Maybe not the music per se, but the definitely the Tron.
Yeah. I like when he has the cleaner
it's
girls
very
come out and
Impact-y
dance.
too,
That
right?
always,
TNA-ish, if you were to. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's number 5? Here's we get to Free Agent Frenzy.
Yeah, number 5. A year 2020 comes another surprising round of releases. Thoughts on the situation and its effect on Impact?
So are we talking about the effect of the 2020 releases or the new ones?
I mean,
No, these.
These. Okay, because I don't remember who the hell was released.
They all work for us.
I can give you a list if you need.
That's I wasn't sure. Like I know obviously someone, but so I think these releases could have a pretty big impact on Impact. I think a lot of these people could end up coming here. We'll talk about it more in the next segment. But I mean, this if you look at who was released, this is one of the bigger ones. I mean, they released some people that I think could definitely go places and not just be like random dudes. Like this isn't. I don't think these are the internet wrestling community acting like, oh my gosh, this guy's so amazing. I'm so happy. And you're like, bitch, you had no clue who he was before he was in WWE.
Wait.
So I think some of the people they released
in the defense
could end up
defend the internet community first of all.
Okay.
Because someone said that the Revival said that Wesley Blake is the new age Bobby Eaton. So they're at least saying nice things about your friend.
I mean, okay, so I mean, once again, Wesley Blake is phenomenal. For those who weren't here initially, he was part of the second greatest tag team of all time, Blake and Murphy, just behind the Johnsons. Those guys should have been stars, and at least the WWE is getting it right.
All right, well, we'll get into individuals, but let's talk about.
But no, I think it's definitely. I think this is one of the ones where I know sometimes when they release people, we're like, and just pass on all of them. But I think this is one where there are people in this group that they can bring in that aren't just going to be like fly by here for a little while. That could end up being with Impact for a long time and really doing something in Impact, in the long run, being, future champions or, really help build certain things. And we'll talk about that more. I'll talk about my opinions on that more when we hit.
You're right. This is a good crop. It's just like the last one. Now it's hard. Obviously, we're not going to sit here and tiptoe and walk on eggshells and say, "Oh, they lost their job. They lost their jobs. It fucking sucks." But we're going to make the best of it and hope they find new ones. Okay.
They get paid for 3 months and then they'll all be
I would
hired
imagine, yeah.
Again, like let's be realistic. This ain't like you and me losing your job. Like WWE's like, hey, you're fired.
Now, granted,
we're going to pay you for 3 more months.
Granted,
shit,
not
man.
Everybody on this list will automatically get a job, as they didn't last time. No way, Jose. There were people that just didn't get something afterwards. So let's be fair on that. But at the same time, to answer the question as far as thoughts on situation and its effect on Impact. So my thoughts on the situation is that it's very funny that we lose a Nevaeh by our choice or not. We lose a Taya by our choice or not. Ethan Page by our choice or not. And everyone, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Okay. You can start a promotion on the people they have released in the past 2 Black Wednesdays. Okay. You can start a promotion. I don't care what way you want to work that around. It doesn't need to be a huge promotion, but you could. Not by just numbers, but by quality and not by quantity. So I don't want to hear that these people don't deserve jobs or any of that rhetoric that's on there that now you're not a fan of them, now that they left WWE kind of bullshit. But the fact that they can clean house like this every year, it seems now, and no one bats an eye, they're going to be fine. And I understand why. But at the same time, you need to give that respect to Impact as well. Yes, their roster is smaller. Yes, their budget is smaller. But every time we go through this cycle of, oh, we lost this person, and then they replenish us or do something crazy that we didn't expect. So let's hold off on those sentiments. So the hypocrisy there gets me. As far as the effect on Impact, if Impact can score 3 of these people out of the 10 that were cut, not including all of those people that are still swimming around, the Steve Cutlers, the Ascension, AOP, Rachel Elderling, who I think was
No Way Jose.
No Way Jose. All these people that may or may not, hit the chord with somebody. Impact is very good at finding people that they can make into something more. So let's not judge anyone on that. But, it sucks that we're in this environment. It sucks that WWE had, Andrade, Thea, yep. It sucks that WWE, has to think like a business, but hey, man, they have stockholders. They got to do what they got to do. And it sucks, but right now it's our job to boost these wrestlers and hope they move on to somewhere else. Now, at the same time, I can't lie to you and say I'm not happy that we get another chance at scooping up some very quality talent to put in our already great roster. Now there are all these holes that people say, that we, we're too thin. Yes, we've talked about it. We went through the roster. We are. But once again, we don't know what's happening backstage. Well, why would they bring in Jazz ODB? To plug the hole until this day. You don't think there are people in WWE and Impact that talk? You don't think they knew that roster cuts were coming? The dirt sheets knew it. So if it's the same what someone brought up was, well, wonder if we moved to Thursdays and we were wrong. It's just a rumor they moved to Tuesdays. Do you think Scott D'Amore and Don Callis are going to either move their show to another night just because maybe NXT's going there? Or, hey, we're going to let our roster be depleted a little bit because maybe people will get cut around April 15th every year? So come on, man. Like,
hey guys, I read on Twitter from Big Mike Bunch of Numbers that that NXT's moving to Tuesday. We should probably move to Thursday. It's like that's not the way that shit happens.
So I want to make that clear. Naomi has a great point there too, and obviously we'll take his call here. I hope we get to talk about this. But Impact brought in Black Taurus. No, you know what I mean? Like, we're finding great talent all around. Impact isn't sleeping at the wheel. They are just doing it at their own pace because they know when they swing on these things, that they're going to hit it out of the park because they have no choice otherwise.
That some of the people that were released though were kind of given the good brother treatment, where WWE was like, "No, you're good, you're fine. We're not letting you go. Hey, you're fired."
And I get this.
Like
I keep saying that about being thin. We've talked about it. But once again, even if we get 3 people out of this, I think our roster is right back to where it should be with, and once again, not taking away from anybody, but with better quality talent. Not that Ty is bad, not at all. Ethan Page, not bad either. But we're finding people that will sign with us now that we're in a better position for maybe 3 years instead of 2, or even 2 at a bigger opportunity, and we make more out of it. So, sad for them, great for us. They'll be happier in Impact or AAW or somewhere else. So I'm excited, but it looks like we're killing it on times, or in the negative way. So let's go to one more commercial, and we'll be right back with Free Agent Frenzy.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast.
All right, and we're back. We're going to get into Free Agent Frenzy. We are going to kind of go through everybody and tell you who we believe that we want to go. So I'll kick it to Craig. I'll let him say his opinion on that last subject and let him mediate this nonsense.
So yeah, in terms of the last topic, I mean, Impact could really clean up again. Especially we won the last free agency thing, and we could easily win this one again. Rosters cleaning up, we could easily bring in bigger names. Yeah. So basically on this game, you should call it, I'm going to list off everyone who's released over the last few days. There's 10, and you guys tell me how if Impact should go hard to get them, if they should just try to get them and see what happens, or just pass. So we'll start off with Tucker Knight.
I'll start and then also respond to Dog Nuts or whatever that says. Yeah, it's hilarious. We listen to the chat group. We're in the chat group. We talk to you guys, and that chat group is us, and us is that chat group. We are intertwined, and this is a family to us. We talk about what goes on in the chat group, and we cover it on here because the people that are listening here are the people we want to please. So that's how it works here. If you guys have any topics, feel free to call in, and we'll catch that after. But going to Tucker, I have mine listed, and I have him at the very bottom. Once again, it's out of 10 very quality groups or talent, however you want to look at it. But I don't know too much about his work to speak otherwise. Max, I know you watch more NXT or did.
Yeah, if they would have released Otis as well, I would say that him and Otis together would be a have to have because they're a great tag team. I actually just think they're a better version of Triple XL in terms of like big guy tag teams. But they didn't release Otis. And unfortunately, I know Otis isn't Shawn Michaels, but Tucker's basically the Marty Jannetty of that group. So I pass on him. I don't think
I think we talked about it. Would you break the bank?
I just
pass on him in general. I'm with you there. And just because we're at a point right now where, we are thin and we are depleted, but we're rebuilding. We're refilling that roster. And does he bring something to the group or to the table that really is worth filling one of those roster spots?
Yeah,
I don't think so. But best of luck to him. And who knows? Once again, we've been wrong on Heath. We've been wrong on Johnny Swinger. There's these signings that Impact makes, and it changes like that. And then Johnny Swinger's my favorite part of the show, or Heath was for a little bit. So I'm not anything against him. Next up, Craig.
So we'll go with Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, the IIconics.
I'll let you go, man.
I will start this one. You break the fucking bank for these two.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have to fire people to afford them. You bring them in. One, they are fucking hilarious. So they're the perfect. So when I've mentioned this multiple times, Impact is great at, even if somebody doesn't have a match, they have a backstage segment that keeps you in their mind. These two, similar to what Tenille's doing with her segments, they can just live off that. They can wrestle once every 6 months and people will still be excited about them because of their segments. They're an amazing tag team. They're a natural tag team. They've worked together. They're friends. They're former WWE women's tag team champions. So you've got that history. And even if you don't want to use them as a tag team, you can push one of them and the other can just be her wing woman and they can go for a title. Like they did that in NXT too, where they both went individually for the NXT women's title and fought. And I think it was a triple threat or fatal 4-way match. So you have this is the one. These are probably the two that I would say most out of anybody that I would push for. Obviously, Peyton's husband is in AEW, but I'm not going to lie. I didn't even know he still worked there until he came out in Crappy Vodka, that stable. I originally thought he was just a local talent.
All right.
Until I realized
that's not true.
He
used to be.
So
he
like
was
I
such a
was
mark.
like,
He was
so
such a
I've seen him
mark
with his mohawk.
for Ty Dillinger. Don't let him fool you. Such a mark.
No. When he was Ty Dillinger, but he has the mohawk. It's blonde. I even know who. I was like, who is? I was like, oh yeah, that's Ty Dillinger. But so maybe she goes there. But I think you push super hard. I'd break the bank for both of them.
Despite your Ty Dillinger shame, I agree with you completely. And here's why. So do I think they're great wrestlers? No, I don't think they're great wrestlers. But do I think Fire and Flavor together are a great tag team? Despite their that's two different things. Let me say this. Fire and Flavor, I think, are obviously at the top of the food chain. They're the tag team. They're the only one that we have that is established together, but can split up but still be together, kind of beer money like, right? They're locked in place. Are they together the best tag team? Are they fluid? No, because it's been a short period, but they are what we call the standard bearers. The best part about them, though, is those backstage segments, is what they say in the ring, how they act, how they push those characters. And
can you imagine them in Swingers Palace? Like, that shit would be
Fire and Flavor?
hilarious.
Oh.
No,
well,
sorry, the
yeah,
IIconics.
I agree. Both. No, I'm talking about Fire and Flavor being one thing, and I think the IIconics are pretty much the same, which is they can probably build some more chemistry. I don't think they wanted to break up originally. I see Hakeem saying the influencers, Kay, Royce, and Dashwood. Yeah, if Tennille stays, I have a weird inkling on Tennille only getting this shot before she goes, kind of thing. But we'll see. The only reason I say that is because someone else will get to. Well, I'll wait for that person. But no, I think not only to have another freaking tag team in the women's tag division, you need them. Could they go to AEW? Yes. I won't get into her husband and all that. But do they need people? Yes. At the same time, once again, I really believe from what I know that they don't want to be broken up. They want to prove what they could have done as a tag team and impacts that place because we're the only ones with tag team titles. And they fit right in. So I say break the bank for them. I think they're top 3 or 4 as far as however you want to place them on the list. Craig?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. They need to be an impact. So we go to someone now who a few weeks ago was planning his retirement of what he would do after wrestling. May come sooner than he thought, but let's go with Bo Dallas.
Max?
So he's actually one of the people I think that if he wants to wrestle, obviously, if he wants to hang out with Liv Morgan and sell houses,
build farms,
who cares? But if he wants to wrestle, I think, or farm or whatever. I heard he's also a real estate agent, but whatever. I think he's someone that you get if the price is right. So he was really good in NXT. I think they put him more in the comedy role once he got to the main roster, like super comedy, like crappy wrestler. But I think he could come in. I think he would be a good heel. I think he could be one of those people that is kind of bottom of the food chain, eating pins, but still interesting. I think he'd be a good depth at. And I think character-wise, that's the reason why I would bring him in over somebody like Tucker, because I think he would be a better character. Because in NXT, he was actually really good when he was a champion. I went back and watched some of the old stuff. This was a while ago when I watched it, but I liked him a lot. So I would bring him in if the price is right. I wouldn't spend too much, but I think he'd be a good addition.
Just because we're low on time, we'll start making some calls and whip through this. I'll give you an easy answer. I wouldn't spend a dime. I think it's one of those things. Yes, we need people to lose matches, but would Bo Dallas? Let's think about it from his perspective. Would he does he need a payday bad enough to work Impact jobber matches? No, I imagine he would want to show something. And I don't know what he can show. I'm sure it's in there. I'm sure he's talented. I remember his NXT days as slightly. I just never connected with him. I have him 4th on my list, though, as far as 4th from the bottom. Tucker being last, so Bo Dallas. So he's middle of the pack. It's not that, he's worth nothing. I just don't see something automatically written in for him. So unless he has a character, look at Johnny Swinger or Deanna. They had thoughts and ideas that they just weren't allowed to utilize in WWE. So.
Yeah. Next up, Craig.
Just Bo leave. So we'll go to Kalisto.
I start. Yeah.
Jeff?
He is in my top 3. I think I wouldn't say break the bank on him. Okay, because one, he's not going to have the same name. He's not going to have the same look. It's going to be one of those things where you're getting this guy off of some notoriety, but also more for his talent. And I think Kalisto, whatever he will be called, he fits the X division. And it has been a very long time since we had a notable, respected luchador in that division, routinely, not just kind of come in with AAA, but to be there. And I know we're scouting AAA as well. I know Vikingo has been kind of thrown around, which I would love. But Kalisto is top notch when it comes to behind the thing. And I know Max is smirking, so I'm sure he's going to say something about his promo skills. Max, which
I mean, his promo skills are horrible, but I mean, to me, I've never been a huge fan. To me, the highlight of his time in WWE was when Ryback saved him from dying on WrestleMania. Like, I'd pass on the guy. Like, I think he's got talent, but I think the X Division, I think they have enough top talent X Division guys that they don't need him. I'd rather them just focus on who they have and move on. Like, I don't know. He's just never been one of my favorites. I would take the second Sin Cara.
I think he was
more than
I think he was suicide for a little bit. Not the one that. But you would take Bo Dallas. You would take everybody. You would take Bo Dallas.
You were suicide for a bit
over Kalisto.
Well, yeah, because I want Bo Dallas to eat pins. I'm not going to have Kalisto come in and eat pins from the Good Brothers all day long. I don't think he'd be willing to do that. Like, I don't think he'd be willing to come in and just be a bottom of the pack guy. I think he would want to be. I don't think he would be.
You got to look at it. Yes, the X Division has 3 good guys now, but TJP isn't signed long term. We don't know his situation. For people who complain about depth so much, it's really interesting to see how many people don't want a quality guy when Ace Austin and Chris Bay inevitably.
I said Bo Dallas. I just didn't like.
Next. Well, actually, you know what?
I don't want him to come in and say he's excited to be in AEW.
I want to lucha. I'm excited to lucha.
Yeah, like.
All right, let's kick it to the next one. If you're in the group chat, you know my feelings on this person. Let's get the rest of the feelings on Chelsea Green.
I'm beeping in IO here. IO, turn down your sound, my friend. We're adding you on here. All right, Max, if you want to start with Chelsea Green.
So if she's healthy, I would say break the bank for her. I don't know if she is, though. So I think you bring her in if she's not going to cost too much. I know she had some injury issues in WWE. I think they paid money to re-sign her, and then she got injured. That's probably one of the reasons why she's out. She's a great character. So I think that's why I would like to have her. But at the same time, I'm scared that she's going to be someone you're going to sign, and then she's going to get hurt. And they should be off TV for 6 to 8 months. And you're like, well, shit, we could have signed Kalisto, but now we were stuck with injured Chelsea Green. So I like her. I think she's an amazing wrestler. I think she'd be great addition to the Knockouts division.
Yeah,
but that's
I'll say my point, and then we'll kick it off since we have our first guest here, first call. With her, I think you say yes. I don't know about breaking the bank, but I'm somewhere between, just like with Kalisto. I don't think it's a big loss if she doesn't. I think we have the advantage if Ryder or Cardona is actually with us or not. At the same time, this is what I was going to go back to when I was talking about Tenille. Tenille and Ryder, were they engaged or just dating for a very long period of time? Okay.
I think they were dating for a very long time.
I don't know. I'm obviously a 30-something-year-old, so I don't get I'm not, my mindset isn't there yet. I don't know their age. I think they're younger 30s or late 20s. Does that matter to her? Did they want to be together? Could they work together? I would hope they are professional and we're not children about it, but I think she's on that level with Kalisto with me, but I don't think she'll get lost in the shuffle unless it's injury based. But once again, just because she got a couple injuries in WWE doesn't mean that the schedule of Impact would do the same to her. So now let's bring in Ao. You there,
no, that's true.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm there. How you guys doing?
Let's get your opinion on LVN and go from there. Or Chelsea Green, excuse me.
Chelsea Green. I think at first I was kind of on the fence with it because she's kind of pretty much done what it needs to done, as far as Impact, slash TNA. Like, if she would come in, what's new or so, and also, like, I don't know if rumors are true, like, of her requesting for release after winning the title, this and that. I mean, but plus she's for friends with Britt Baker, right, with AEW. So it's like if I'm trying to get her, I say it's not really like a must get. That's just my opinion at first. But then again, she has the credibility, I guess you could say, to help.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, and I'll touch on that more in a second. But let me hear about you.
I do think she's friends with Britt Baker. I also think she's friends with Deonna. I want to say I see all three of them in a lot of Instagram posts together.
Oh
yeah, Chelsea Green was part of AEW's first match technically at All Out. All in.
All right. So what do you got first, everybody? You got a question, comment, concern?
Yeah, I got a question. So I mentioned this in the group chat. So when Drew McIntyre got fired, he kind of took the indies by storm, sit back and wait for something that he really took by storm and made ICW more bigger than they were prior. When I look at let's say Samoa Joe, for instance, I figure Joe's the type of person to kind of go that route because he would know his worth and value, big name value. You see Joe taking that same route. Let's say he would make an appearance for Impact and try to help Impact out before deciding what's
kind of
next.
like a EC3 ordeal, or do you?
Yeah, like an EC3. Yeah.
See, here's the thing. I think compared to EC3, who is much younger and has always wanted to do more, he's always intrigued by things he has to conquer, right? As a human being, he wants to, go back and conquer WWE. Well, unfortunately, that didn't work out. So he came back to Impact, gave us the rub, and stuck with ROH for one reason or another. So with Samoa Joe, though, I really think he has such good friends in Impact that none of that other stuff matters. We could do it now, or I could say how I feel, but I think you break the bank for Samoa Joe. Now, I know there's a lot of people say, well, let's use that money for something else. You got to remember, with Jericho too, Anthem was willing to do a Spike TV kind of thing where they pay for it and it's not on the payroll. They give a little extra. Don't worry about it. If you're in the black for it, we'll take care of it. And I think Samoa Joe isn't maybe Jericho level, but after a WWE run where literally he was on television, WrestleMania? Commentating on WrestleMania?
He was a commentator for WrestleMania.
He's just someone you bring in. Max, are you on that page?
So the one thing I will say with the Galloway thing, I think he kind of took everybody by storm and did everything because he wanted to prove to WWE, I'm a star. You need to have me back. And that's why he did all that to show them. I don't necessarily know if Joe would care about that. I think Joe was kind of the, hey, look, this is what I am. If you guys don't like me, who cares? So that's why I think Joe would be a little bit different than McIntyre, Galloway, whatever you want to call him. When it comes to Joe, though, once again, assuming he's healthy, I think you break the bank for him. Outside of AJ Styles, I can't think of another could have released that is that you should that Impact should push harder for. I know I said the IIconics, but when you look at his history with he helped build Impact. He's as much
a founding father
Impact as anybody. Yeah, as anybody else is. So outside of them releasing AJ Styles, he's the guy. He can come in. He can go immediately into the World Heavyweight title picture. He can go immediately into the X Division picture. He can go immediately into just feuds with people similar to what Sami Callihan's doing now and have no connection to a title, and it would still be huge. So he can do it all. I think he's a guy that you have to get, and I think because of his history with Impact, I do think he signs.
I do too, and that's where I think we and I appreciate the call as always. I'm gonna get you out so we could get try to get Bert and another caller in here as well, and I'll finish up your question. Appreciate your call, buddy.
All right, thanks.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, so yeah, with that, I want to get back to Chelsea Green as well, but touch up that he's referring to how Drew went and did more than just come to Impact at the time and do the thing. And I think our question or our answer answers that in a different way, which is I don't think he'll do that where he's gonna stick his head in different places and try to give everybody the rub, because that connection. And here's the thing: what I say, the break the bank thing is not, we're not gonna obviously spend all our money on him. But do we go extra hard at him? And that's the term we're using. Yes. And we go extra hard at him because he is worth more than just he's our champion or he's going for the X Division title.
Yeah.
He represents a whole library that is the foundation of Impact Wrestling. Without this library, this company would not be alive, because the value of those matches and those pay-per-views and that feeling that was TNA, that flash in the pan, that continues to survive, is remarkable. So I think Samoa Joe buys more to us than anything. But as far as
I agree.
Laurel Van Ness, I want to get back to that real quick. Chelsea Green, I have no problems with her. I think she told them she wanted to leave before they had plans for that taping to give her the title. They gave her the title anyways, thinking it was going to keep her, or they just didn't want to make the change. I don't know what it is. But I think she has no issues with any of the management, and I could say Scott D'Amore obviously made a mention of that. So, and I think she's good because, once again, could she go singles? Yeah, she could be singles. She could be Chelsea Green. She could be Laurel Van Ness. Either way, if we need another tag team, who better besides maybe Havoc or Rosemary to go with Su Yung? I think that'd
be perfect. Like
the
crazy
brides,
Laurel Van
I
Ness.
think would be awesome. And Cardona could get some kind of rub off of it because he needs something, and maybe he can leave her at the altar, and that's what snaps her again. All right, who we got left, Craig?
We have. Let's go to Mojo.
I'm gonna try to bring Bert in here as we're doing this. So Bert, if you're ready, buddy, we're gonna bring him. Am I Mojo or are you Mojo?
I'll go with Mojo. I don't give a fuck about Mojo Rawley.
Short and sweet.
Like, I mean, unless he's going to team up, he could team with Matt Cardona, I guess, as a tag team. But outside of that, I didn't even remember. I forgot he was part of WWE.
What was it? The thing where Cardona was literally as Zack Ryder was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be NXT. I don't want to be this guy. Whatever it was.
Yeah, it was. Was it Breaking Grounds?
And this motherfucker ran to 3 different promotions and still can't get rid of this guy. No, Mojo needs to stay away from Cardona. He needs to look. Once again, does this guy deserve a job?
Matt Cardona's
yes, go get it,
man.
But he's Gronk's friend, yes, and that's the big rub.
If he brings Gronk, if Gronk Brady, sure, but outside of that, no.
Nah, he should just team with Enzo and tour the Indies and be assholes together. That's side row. I have Mojo literally second to last. Just to put that out there. So Samoa Joe is my number 1. I had the IIconics at number 2, Kalisto at number 3, Chelsea at 5, Bo at 6, and Mojo and Tucker at 9 and 10. So
I had Joe at 1, the IIconics at 2 and 3. We haven't hit my 4. I had Chelsea.
Well, I'm
at
also
5.
counting the IIconics as a
haven't
group, so that's my bad. So.
Yeah, but I consider them 2 and 3. I would actually take Billy over Peyton because I think Billy's a better interview.
Craig, Bert, are you with us, buddy? I didn't even see you there. Hey, brother.
Yeah,
Bert.
I'm here.
All right, Bert. So let's get your. Where are you with us on the free agent frenzy so far? Not talking about anyone that we haven't mentioned yet, but are you with us, or is there someone that you think we're overly overestimating or underestimating there?
No, I agree with you. Personally, I would go with Joe, the IIconics, and Kalisto. I think those each sew up each 3 divisions, so I think that'd be fine.
Max, sometimes pays to be on here every week.
It's fine.
All right. So what do you got for us? Do you have a question, comment, or concern?
I just had two real quick things. First, I want to address, and I want to say I do think Rebellion is going to be the biggest pay-per-view. Because I think it takes the torch from when New Japan and Ring of Honor were partnering. I think Impact, AEW and Impact are 2 big companies, and only going together can only be something bigger. So I think Rebellion is going to be huge, actually. And then second, I saw in the chat someone was saying that Impact should have been invading AEW, and I agree. I think 2 things. I think Violent by Design should have already showed up on AEW TV, and I think Deanna should have showed up too, because one, I think Eric Young and Rhino are big names, and I think Deanna's a big name. So I think if they showed up on Dynamite, people would know who they were, and of course the commentators would have to, acknowledge who they were for once. When Impact people are on AEW TV.
No, I get you there, and we do have that. I won't say argument because we're all family there. We will get into it. We move on and whatever. But I will say this. I will argue this till I die. We just have to be patient on the AEW thing, because you're right. If this was a true partnership in the sense of we are seen as the same level as AEW to the eyes of the fans or the eyes of the viewers. I agree with you 100%. I agree with everyone as well. The problem is we were in such a hole that we are the David to their Goliath. It just is the perception of the fan, not us, but the trolls, if you want to call that, or the IWC, and as well as in the black. I mean, they're profitable. They're on TNT, so they are the bigger dog. And to prove that narrative, you had to say, hey, we're bigger to come on we're big enough to be on your channel, but you're not big enough to come on ours. And that was all kind of wasted with that horrible, oh, we're friends now bullshit. But if Rich Swann wins or loses this, doesn't matter. If Tony, I think that's the two way it goes. And I say that if Rich Swann loses this and Tony Khan helps, or Kenny Omega wins it clean and they just, rag on us, them are two different situations. If Kenny Omega wins this clean and then they just say deuces, then we could talk. But I think it's a play. It's a wait and see, because I think there's options for Rich to still lose, but us to then say, okay, enough's enough. Let's go kick that fucking door down.
Just wait until after Kenny Omega wins and he gets jumped by Bullet Club at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And we realize that there's three promotions all working really together. Big,
and you're right. I think they will show their hand. They will show that this New Japan thing is picking up right from where we left, where ROH and that partnership left off. And I just think there's more to this main event than just a 5-star match. And I hope it does end cleanly. But if Rich wins it cleanly and he has to be on AEW, that gives us the access to their door. And that forbidden door is really knocked down. And that's the only way we could take down a pompous Tony Khan who thinks he's better than everyone else in the eyes of fans and maybe the eyes of his employees. I don't know. But I think this is the way you had to do it to set that narrative, because there's a lot of people who would see Impact as the heels here. So.
And by the way, I think the first crossover, the first person you'll see, people are talking about who should go over to AEW. I think it's going to be Ace Austin versus Sammy Guevara. I think that'll be your first match. I think Ace Austin will go over. Yeah, because they were going back and forth on Twitter a little bit, talking about how they should wrestle. I think Ace Austin will go over there as champion and beat Sammy Guevara on Dynamite.
Hey, well, Bert, we're going to kick you. I hate saying that. We're going to kick you out of here, man. We got to wrap up the show. We're a little short on time, but appreciate your call as always, and great question. All right, buddy.
All right, Craig, who's our next person?
Yeah, let's go to Steve Cutler.
Well, he was a previous one. He's Deanna's boyfriend, husband. What is he? I didn't even have him on my list, honestly. I forgot that, because I was thinking.
I forgot it was written.
If we have anything about him in the chat, I'll let you guys do it. We can go a little bit on with him maybe next time if there's something said. But who else do we have on this?
Well, I know. I know Tommy Dreamer said that he thinks he'd be a great fit for BBD.
Oh, it's part of the Forgotten Sons.
So wait, the only Forgotten Son they kept was
yeah, the racist one. Yeah. They fired the other two guys and kept the racist one.
No, I don't know much about him enough to talk, and I'd rather not to do that. So who else we got? I think we have two more.
Yep. We've got let's go Wesley Blake.
I have Wesley Blake as my third to last. Can he go?
Okay.
Yeah, he's right below Bo Dallas for me because the name recognition isn't as big as Bo Dallas's, or at least face recognition, unless you, I don't know, buy furniture all the time. He's got a face of a furniture salesman. I say that because he just doesn't belong on TV. He doesn't. And there's nothing wrong with furniture salesmen. He just, if you're on television, you're supposed to be a TV star. To me, he is not a TV star.
Okay.
That's so I would pass. I would even cheap pass. Yeah,
This is
go
my turn?
for it, home.
You break the fucking bank. Now, granted, breaking the bank for him isn't like breaking the bank for the other three. He'll probably sign for
a pack of Newports and a cheeseburger. Get out of here.
Probably, but whatever it takes, you get him, and here's why. You bring him on, you pair him with Violent by Design. He tags with Diener, and they become your bottom-level tag team. They're the lowest of the low. They eat pins left and right. But anytime they're with the other three, they're
That's
still
fair.
a formidable force because those three are actually the stars. So what it allows is pretty sure you guys talked about it yesterday or last episode when I wasn't there, that before Triple XL can move up, you have to have somebody take that bottom spot. Diener's already shown that he's kind of the
Same with Triple XL.
half-ass dude of Violent by Design. Yeah, so Diener's already shown he's kind of the half-ass dude of Violent by Design. So you bring in
Jake something.
Wesley Blake. But he's not gonna team him. You bring in Wesley Blake, he teams with Diener, they can suck it up, they eat pins, but anytime the other three are involved, Violent by Design is still
Wesley Blake
that's why you bring him in. I don't think
he looks like a Dollar Tree version of David Finlay. Like, right? That's what he looks like.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
but that's why you bring him in. He was part of Forgotten Sons, just like Steve Cutler. I think he's better in the ring than Steve Cutler. Now that I know he was one of the Forgotten Sons, I'm still convinced the only reason they were named that is because Vince forgot all three of them were actually part of the roster.
Anyways, okay, look, we got one more person to get to, so I do want to mention this. I would put Steve Cutler in that position unless you really feel Wesley Blake could go more. I think Steve Cutler looks the part more. He's dating the Knockouts champion. It makes more fit if you're to bring one of those guys for me to be Steve Cutler. Now, I love your idea. If that happens to be Wesley Blake instead, then you don't sign Steve Cutler. But I think just two white bread guys.
I could say that it's one or the other. I would agree. One or the other. You quote unquote break the bank for them because they fit so well into that position. So I agree. I will agree. I'll
buy him for cheap.
Wesley Blake or Steve.
All right. Last but not least, Craig.
Yep. Hardcore country, Mickie James.
I love Mickie James. Is it me? I'm gonna go. That's you.
Yeah, no, it's me. It's me. So I have her as my bringer in for the right price. She's a star, former Impact star, former Knockouts champion. I don't know if she's someone that you would bring in for a lot because I don't know how long she's going to continue to wrestle. So I think you bring her in for a little while. You have her do a short program with whoever the champion is, and then she can go, and it gives you time to build up your next challenger.
So like
that's how I would bring her in to do that. Exactly. Similar to Jazz or ODB. You bring her in, give her that short promo, and then let her go be with Mickie James and NWA.
But Mickie James is on a different level. And that doesn't mean that she's better. It means that I think she spans a different, a bigger generation of fans because she's been around in the game for quite a bit when wrestling has been popular in all different stages. So, and she's been in part of TNA. If this keeps Nick Aldis, if signing her makes Nick Aldis come here, I hope we pass.
You don't like Mickie James?
If we sign her and it just means she's here to be a knockout and that is what it is, hell yeah, I'm all for it. She's still a little bit younger. She still has a lot to prove. She's awesome talent, and she once again is a crossover kind of talent. So I have her at number 4, or technically number 5 if you put the IIconics as 2 and 3. And I'm with Max. It's just for right price. Because I think she does get buzz, but it's all that other stuff. I firmly believe that she will be with NWA because her husband is there. Now, does that sexist to me or anything? No, I don't think so, because I think it's the other way around too. If she comes to Impact, I think it smooths the relations with her and with us and Aldis for the worse. Me too.
I hope not.
But yeah, so I have her up there. I think just like Joe, she has a lot of lore with the Impact audience. And she's once again another person that can help push the library. So I love her. I think she's a great addition, and she loves the show. So hello, Mickie, we love you. Yeah,
she does. We did an interview with her on our old show.
Those were the days, right? All right, Craig, why don't you wrap this up with us, and we'll get the hell out of here.
Yep, so again, you can find us here, there, and everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Sounder. This will be up on YouTube tomorrow, quickly followed by Sounder. Follow us on Twitter, drop us a like on Facebook. Help us boost there.
Yeah, sub.
Pretty much
Make
it for
sure you
another
sub to this on Twitch if you're watching live with us, or if you're watching on YouTube and aren't following us. We're close to being an affiliate, which isn't much, but it's a step, and we're going to keep developing. And you'll see some really cool things that I think push that narrative for us. We can't thank you guys enough. Keep going on the chat group. If you're not in the chat group and want to be part of it, hit up Craig at Mr. Impact_blog, or at Ocho Max, or myself and Craig, who run at TNAIW channel on Twitter. It's been a pleasure. Keem, thank you. Yes, nice chat with you as well, buddy. We'll see you guys all in the chat group. Nikki James. Yeah, Nikki James.
That's now if he comes back
if
to
they pull a
Impact
Mike
as
and
Nikki
Maria,
James.
Kanellis, bring it.
That would be
but
phenomenal. Nikki, oh my god.
Yeah, they'll win.
I'd have him back.
They'll win the Knockout Tags title together. So thank you guys for tuning in. Next week, save the date. Make sure you're here. Michael Cavaccini is back. We are going to ask him, obviously, if you haven't seen round 1, go back and watch that. It was excellent. We got some inside scoops on the TNA video game, number 2, and all different things. And he's got some really cool shit to drop coming next week. And it will also be our pre-show for Rebellion. Thank you guys again. See you next time.
Later, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast.